In the vast emptiness of space, the Galactic Empire ruled with an iron fist. Their ships were powerful and their leaders were proud. Captain Alara, a skilled and ambitious commander, stood on the bridge of the flagship Imperial Star, staring at the stars beyond. She had risen through the ranks quickly, and today she felt ready for anything. The Empire's fleet was on a routine patrol when a strange signal appeared on their screens. It was a weak distress signal coming from deep space. Alara's heart raced with excitement. "What is it?" she asked her crew. "It looks like a human vessel, Captain," replied Lieutenant Zara, pointing at the blinking dot on the screen. "But it's old and damaged. We should check it out." Alara nodded. "Prepare to move closer. Let's see what we're dealing with." The crew worked quickly, their faces serious. They knew that human ships were often outdated and defenseless. The Empire had crushed humanity long ago, leaving only a few scattered ships in the galaxy. As they approached the signal, the crew could see the small human vessel drifting aimlessly. It was a simple design, a mix of rust and faded paint. "It looks like it has been here for years," Zara said, shaking her head. "No life signs detected, Captain." "Keep scanning," Alara ordered, her eyes fixed on the lonely ship. "There might be something valuable inside." She was eager to prove her worth to the Empire, and this mission could be her chance to shine. They finally drew close enough to see the ship's name painted on the side, Hope's End. The name struck Alara. What a sad name, she thought. It reminded her of the stories she had heard about humanity's struggles. Once a proud species, now reduced to this, a broken ship in the depths of space. "Prepare to board," Alara commanded. "I want a team to investigate. This could be a trap, but it could also be a treasure." The crew murmured among themselves, unsure of the captain's decision. "What if there are still humans on board?" one of the soldiers whispered. Alara heard the fear in their voices, but pushed it aside. She couldn't let fear guide her actions. As they docked with the human ship, Alara led a small team into Hope's End. The air inside was stale, and darkness covered the corridors. They moved cautiously, flashlights cutting through the shadows. "Stay alert," Alara said. "We don't know what we'll find." The ship was eerily quiet. The team searched room after room, finding only old supplies and faded equipment. It seemed the ship had been abandoned long ago. But then, they reached the control room. Alara's heart raced as she saw the control panel flickering. "Someone must have been here recently," she said, excitement bubbling inside her. She approached the panel, fingers hovering above the buttons. "Let's see what happened to this ship." Just as she pressed a button, the lights flickered on, revealing a small holographic screen. It showed a desperate message from a human captain, speaking of battles lost and a desperate fight for survival. "We must hold on! We will not go down without a fight!" the hologram declared, full of emotion. Alara felt a chill run down her spine. The message reminded her of the bravery of those who had come before. These were not just humans, they were fighters. The Empire had destroyed their homes, yet they had not given up. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The control panel flashed red, and a voice echoed through the corridors. "Intruders detected. Activating defense systems." Alara's heart sank. "We need to leave. Now!" she shouted to her team. They raced back down the dark halls, adrenaline pumping through their veins. As they reached the docking bay, they could hear the ship's defenses powering up. The atmosphere was tense. Alara's mind raced. The human vessel, thought to be weak, was fighting back. They had underestimated its strength, and now it was too late to retreat. The crew of the Imperial Star had no idea what was about to unfold. Alara realized that Hope's End was not just a lost ship. It was a sleeping giant, ready to awaken and fight for its existence. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity was not as defeated as everyone had thought. This was just the beginning. As they fled back to their ship, Alara couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a mission. It was the start of something greater. The Empire was about to face an unexpected challenge, and it would change everything. The Imperial Star shook as Captain Alara and her team hurried back on board. Alarms blared, and the crew scrambled to their stations, their faces pale with fear. The message from the human captain played repeatedly in Alara's mind. "We will not go down without a fight." She knew they had awakened a force that had been hiding in the shadows. As Alara reached the bridge, she shouted, "Status report!" "What's happening?" Lieutenant Zara worked quickly at her station, her fingers flying over the controls. "Captain, the human ship is powering up. It seems to have defense systems we didn't detect before." Alara's heart raced. Prepare for battle! Inform the fleet to form a defensive line. We will not let this ship escape. The crew moved swiftly, adrenaline pumping through their veins. They had thought this mission would be an easy capture, but now they faced a serious threat. The human vessel, once believed to be weak and broken, was showing its teeth. "Captain, the human ship is firing!" shouted a crew member from the weapons station. Ilara's eyes widened as bright beams of light shot from the Hope's End, striking the Imperial Star. The ship rocked violently, and alarms blared louder. "Shields up! Return fire!" Ilara commanded, gripping the edge of her command chair. The crew scrambled to follow her orders, but chaos filled the bridge. "Direct hit to the starboard side!" cried Zara, her voice trembling. "We're losing power." Ilara felt panic rising. The Empire had always been invincible, and now they were facing defeat from a single human ship. "Redirect power from the aft shields!" she yelled. "We need to protect the front!" The Imperial Star fired back, its weapons targeting the human vessel. Bright blasts of energy shot into the darkness, illuminating the surrounding space. The crew watched, hearts pounding as the beams struck the Hope's End. For a moment, it seemed as if they had gained the upper hand. But then the human ship retaliated. It moved with surprising speed, dodging the Empire's attacks as if it were dancing among the stars. "What kind of ship is this?" Ilara thought, her mind racing. "We underestimated them." As the battle raged, the human ship struck again, this time hitting the Imperial Star directly in the engines. The ship shuddered violently, and crew members were thrown from their seats. "We're losing thrust!" Zara shouted, panic filling her voice. "Stabilize the ship," Ilara commanded. "Reinforce the shields and get us back into the fight!" But deep down, she felt a sense of dread. This was no ordinary battle. They were fighting for their lives against an enemy they had long dismissed. The Hope's End continued its assault, firing blast after blast. The Empire's crew struggled to maintain control, but the human ship showed no signs of slowing down. It was as if the spirit of humanity itself had awakened, driving them to fight back with everything they had. "Captain, we need to retreat," one of the crew members shouted, fear etched on his face. "This ship is too powerful." "Retreat?" Ilara snapped, her eyes narrowed. "We will not back down. We fight!" Just as she said this, another blast from the human ship tore through the Imperial Star's hull. Warning lights flashed everywhere and smoke filled the bridge. Crew members scrambled to contain the fire as Ilara struggled to focus. "Captain, the enemy is boarding," Zara shouted, her voice shaking. "They're coming for us!" Ilara's heart sank. This was not just a battle in space, it was turning into a fight for survival. "Prepare for hand-to-hand combat," she ordered. "We will defend our ship." As the sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors, Ilara steeled herself. She had trained for this moment, but she never imagined it would come so soon. The Empire had always believed they were unbeatable. Now, they were facing a desperate enemy willing to fight to the last breath. With her crew at her side, Ilara prepared for the worst. The doors to the bridge burst open, and armed humans flooded in, ready to reclaim their ship. In that moment, Ilara realized that the battle was far from over. This was just the beginning of a war they never saw coming. The Imperial Star had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would have to face the consequences. The fight for the galaxy had just begun. The bridge of the Imperial Star was a battlefield in itself. Captain Ilara stood at the front, her heart racing as the armed humans burst through the doors. The chaos of the fight outside could be heard echoing through the ship. It was a fight for survival, and the fate of the Empire hung in the balance. "Form a defensive line!" Ilara shouted, trying to rally her crew. They scrambled to grab weapons and defend their position. But the humans were fierce, filled with a determination that caught Ilara off guard. She had underestimated them, and now they were fighting back with a passion she hadn't expected. As the humans advanced, Ilara felt the fear rising in her chest. She had trained for battles, but facing a group of determined human soldiers felt different. These were not just enemies, they were fighting for their lost home, their people, and their future. The sound of blaster fire echoed throughout the bridge, and crew members fell. Ilara gritted her teeth and pushed forward, firing her weapon at the advancing humans. "We cannot let them take this ship," she cried, her voice firm. "Fight back!" Just then, a blast from a human soldier struck the control panel next to her, causing sparks to fly. Ilara ducked and returned fire, hitting her target. A sense of power surged through her. She was not going to let her ship fall to these humans without a fight. "Zara!" Alara called out to her lieutenant, who was fighting bravely beside her. "We need to regain control of this ship. We can't let them reach the main engine room." Zara nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "I'll cover you, Captain." She fired her blaster at a group of humans charging from the side. Alara took a deep breath, ready to push forward. She charged through the doorway, leading the way into the corridor. Her crew followed, their hearts pounding with fear and adrenaline. They could hear the humans shouting and yelling as they moved closer. In the narrow hallway, the battle intensified. Humans and Empire crew members fought fiercely, blasters firing in every direction. Alara felt the heat of battle all around her. She ducked behind a bulkhead, taking aim at a group of human soldiers. "Push them back!" she yelled. "We have to protect the bridge." With Zara beside her, Alara moved swiftly, firing at the humans. The tide began to turn as the Empire crew rallied together. They fought with everything they had, refusing to let the human soldiers take their ship. The humans, though determined, were struggling against the Empire's well-trained forces. Alara could see the shift in the battle as her crew fought back with renewed energy. Each victory boosted their spirits, and they pushed forward, regaining control of the corridors. "Captain, we're gaining ground!" Zara shouted, her voice full of excitement. "We can drive them back!" Alara felt a surge of hope. They were turning the tide, but the fight was far from over. "Keep pushing!" she urged her crew. "We can't let them regroup." As they pressed on, Alara and her team reached the entrance to the engine room. The door was sealed tight. "We need to breach the door," she commanded. "We cannot let them destroy our engines." A crew member worked quickly, setting explosives to blast open the door. The others covered him, watching for any signs of human soldiers trying to counterattack. With a loud explosion, the door flew open and Alara rushed in with her crew. The room was filled with smoke, and the sound of alarms echoed in their ears. But they couldn't stop now. They needed to secure the engines to prevent any further attacks from the Hope's End. Inside the engine room, they found a group of humans trying to sabotage the systems. Alara led the charge, her blaster raised high. "Stop them!" she shouted, her voice ringing out over the chaos. The crew engaged in fierce hand-to-hand combat, and Alara felt the weight of the fight in every blow. She ducked and rolled, taking out one soldier after another. The adrenaline coursed through her veins as she fought with everything she had. "Captain, we have to shut down the engine," Zara yelled. "Or they'll take control of the ship." Alara nodded, adrenaline fueling her resolve. "Then let's do it! Protect our home!" With a final push, the Empire crew managed to secure the engine room. The humans were driven back, and Alara felt a rush of triumph. They had turned the battle, but the war was still raging on. As Alara caught her breath, she knew that this fight was just the beginning. The Empire had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they had to face the consequences. But today they had won a small victory, and it felt sweet. The tides of war were changing, and Captain Alara was ready for whatever came next. The Imperial Star was in chaos. The sounds of alarms and blaster fire echoed through the ship as Captain Alara and her crew regrouped. They had fought hard to reclaim the engine room, but the battle was far from over. The humans, fierce and determined, were not ready to give up their fight for the Hope's End. "Status report!" Alara demanded as she surveyed the damage. Smoke filled the corridors, and crew members rushed to contain fires and treat the wounded. Zara was at her side, checking the communications panel. "The humans are regrouping in the hangar bay," Zara said, her face grim. "They are planning another attack." Alara felt a chill run down her spine. The hangar bay was crucial. If the humans reached their ship, they could escape or launch a new offensive. "We need to secure it now. Gather everyone who can fight. We make our stand there." The crew moved quickly, gathering weapons and preparing for the final confrontation. Alara felt a mix of fear and determination. They had to hold their ground. The Empire was not just fighting for a ship, they were fighting to protect their legacy. As they approached the hangar bay, the atmosphere was tense. The crew's hearts raced, and Alara could sense their anxiety. She stopped and turned to face them. "Listen up! This is our home. We fight for each other, for our future. We will not let them take this ship." Her words ignited a spark of courage in the crew. They nodded, their eyes filled with determination. Alara felt a rush of pride. They were ready to fight. The door to the hangar bay slid open, revealing a chaotic scene. Humans were preparing their ships, frantically loading weapons and supplies. Blaster fire erupted as Ilara and her crew stormed in, determined to stop them. "Push forward!" Ilara shouted, leading the charge. Blasters fired from both sides, and the air was thick with smoke and energy blasts. The crew fought fiercely, taking cover behind crates and machinery as they battled the humans. Ilara fought with every ounce of strength she had. She moved swiftly, targeting the humans as they scrambled to defend their ship. One by one, they fell, but the humans kept coming. Their determination was impressive, and Ilara knew they were fighting for more than just a ship. They were fighting for their people. In the midst of the chaos, Zara was at Ilara's side, firing her blaster with precision. "We need to split up!" she yelled over the noise. "If we can take out their leaders, we might break their spirit." Ilara nodded, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "You take the left flank! I'll go right! Let's show them what the Empire is made of." As they split up, Ilara felt the weight of the battle on her shoulders. She ducked behind a large crate, surveying the hangar bay. There were too many humans, and they were pushing the Empire crew back. "We can't let them take control!" she thought fiercely. Drawing a deep breath, Ilara charged forward, her blaster raised high. She fired at a group of humans trying to regroup, and they scattered under her fire. "Keep pushing!" she shouted to her crew, rallying them to fight harder. Suddenly, a blast struck her arm, and Ilara stumbled back, pain coursing through her. But she refused to fall. Gritting her teeth, she fired back, taking down the soldier who had hit her. "I won't give up," she thought fiercely, fighting through the pain. Zara was nearby, fighting valiantly. Ilara could see her dodging and weaving through the chaos, taking down humans left and right. "We can't lose! We have to hold our ground!" Ilara shouted, her voice filled with determination. The battle raged on, and the Empire crew fought with everything they had. They were outnumbered, but they were not defeated. Ilara felt the tide turning, even as the humans pressed forward. Then she spotted a group of human leaders gathered near the Hope's End. "That's our target," she shouted, her heart racing. "If we can take them out, we might break their morale." With Zara at her side, Ilara charged toward the leaders, firing her blaster with deadly accuracy. The humans turned in surprise, and Ilara seized the moment. "This is for the Empire!" she yelled, her spirit unwavering. In a fierce exchange of fire, Ilara and her crew fought to reach the leaders. Blaster shots rang out, and the air was thick with smoke and chaos. Just when it seemed like the humans might gain the upper hand, Ilara's crew pushed back, their unity stronger than ever. As they fought through the chaos, Ilara felt a surge of hope. They were standing their ground, refusing to let fear dictate their actions. The Imperial Star was more than just a ship. It was their home, and they would protect it at all costs. In the heart of battle, the Empire crew began to gain the upper hand. One by one, the human leaders fell, and the remaining soldiers started to falter. The tide was turning, and Ilara felt the weight of victory within her grasp. With one final push, the Empire crew rallied together, fighting back with renewed vigor. The humans, once so fierce, began to retreat. Ilara's heart soared. They had held their ground.